گرگ کشمیر که هست این سری دو پایی را میگرده و هر کس که پیسدار بوده جبرکار بوده شب یک دانه ایمو برای دم سری کده مور خو
وانت دايم خمر بيخي قوي دي البلاك اللي بيخي خيرة تبيش انا قصري من نام يعني الكشكي تخوف هيك
خدا دختر ولی چی ساخته دیگه؟ چی سلاسی راست میگم مشقه
8 years. It was the first project that I started my career with in 2008 when I entered the Kabul University Cinema and Theatre Department, and it was just the first project that I started my work with, and it was also before I started to make any short film, and I had this idea but I didn't know really what to do with, and I wrote this treatment and by accident sent it to this Cannes script residency program, City Foundation, and after they selected the project, I invited to Paris to develop the project for like 4 months and a half, living in Cannes apartment with other directors, other young directors, and that was the moment I got connected to the European Cinema Network. And later, a few years later, I found my producer, Katja. She has a company, a Danish company in Copenhagen, and from that moment we started to work. But it was more tricky because in terms of financing, in terms of where to shoot, because I wanted to shoot the film very much in my village in central Afghanistan, but we couldn't do that because of security, and for 2 times we had to postpone the shooting because we had election on that time, and the election was failed and it went to the second round, and on that time there was like a big attack in the Kabul airport, and you know, the village in central Afghanistan, it was the most safe place in the entire Afghanistan, but my crew need to travel from Kabul to Bamiyan, and in Kabul the situation was not really okay. And then we had to, like in the couple of like really last months of the start of the shooting, then we reached to the point that no, we cannot shoot the film in Afghanistan. We need to look for another country. But we did the location scout in many countries, from Iran to China to Morocco to all post-Soviet countries. And then we ended in Tajikistan because I found the nature, the mountains more close to central Afghanistan. And but when we went there, all the houses and villages, the architecture was very different from what we have in central Afghanistan, also from what we have in Kabul. So we had to make the entire village there in Tajikistan.
The one in the movie?
Yes. And I was talking in the beginning with one artist director about to making this village, but then I found it very difficult because it was just takes a lot of time to transfer all the images in my head to his head, and then I was not even sure about the outcome. And then I decided to make these villages, me and Anwar together. Because we were the only Afghan crew in the entire team, and the rest, it was all European. So it was only us who knows the language, who knows the culture, who knows the story very much. And Anwar was with me since the very beginning of the project. So we started to sketch the houses from all the images we had in the mind, and also from the pictures, all the pictures that we took for during the 2 years of casting, traveling to central Afghanistan. Then we started to work with the local construction workers in Tajikistan, and we made Afghanistan in 5 weeks. Yes, and then we get back to central Afghanistan to bring our cast, because I casted from people, villagers in central Afghanistan. Most of them are my relatives, and some of them, they are just people living at the same region. and yeah, but it was a little bit tricky because they lived in the middle of nowhere among the mountains, in rural parts, and they were not even registered. So I had to go to the government office to make national ID for them first, and then apply for passport, and then take all these documents to Kabul for the visa. But there was a big problem because these people, they work hard on the fields. And they didn't have any fingerprint because all these fingerprints were gone. I was about to have a heart attack when they told me in the office that, excuse me, this doesn't work because they don't have fingerprint. And yeah, and then we had to wait. They had to put cream for a month, like, and the plastic all over their hand, the fingers, so the fingerprint get back. And after a month, we were able to reapply again, and some of them they could, some of them they couldn't because the fingerprint didn't get back. And then I traveled from central Afghanistan to Kabul with car. I wear burqa because I was alone, and we traveled through the Taliban area to carry all this passport and national IDs, all these documents, which was very dangerous because any moment we could get stopped by Taliban and they could see this passport and things. And yeah, it was a little bit action. and then when I arrived in Kabul, on those days, Taliban, they took a big part of the north of Afghanistan, which we have the border with Tajikistan. Yeah. So Tajikistan government, they decided to not issue any more visa for Afghans, and the price for a single entry visa for Tajikistan in black market was $2,000. And of course I didn't have that money and I didn't have the time. So I went to the Tajik embassy in Kabul, and the consul was really a big man, and I was just a small woman. He looked at me like this. and when I went there and I show all the pictures of 38 people from also me and Anwar, like 40, I asked 40 visa for this film project. He was looking at me and were like, are you crazy? Do you have any understanding of the political situation at the moment? Who cares about you or your film? But it took really a long time, and a lot of paperwork for us to do in Afghanistan and also in Tajikistan, because we found someone there to help us from the Ministry of Foreign Ministry to help us. So it was like running after many paperwork for many months, and a lot of emails, a lot of calls, a lot of visits, and then we could get this visa, and we flight our cast together with us in Tajikistan to Afghanistan to make the film. But for the people it was really a big deal because they never had this, they never traveled in Kabul, they never see Kabul, and for them traveling from, like, getting out of the village and going to somewhere named Tajikistan that they never had any clue where is that place was very, like, maybe the most important thing that it happened in their life. That's why in all this time that I was working with the people, I never had this feeling like I'm making a film, because nothing was professional. I mean, not in terms of my crew, but in terms of, all the cast and the way that I was working with them, and the way that I explained the story to them and their reaction, and all our 5-6 weeks that we spent with each other. It was all like a big hangout. Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. On that time, maybe I got a little bit annoyed sometimes, but but it was the natural in that time.